Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Mr. Lam and fellow friend. My name is Harish Hami bin Ahmad Zapri and my partner is Nur Fatiha binti Husnizam. So we would like to presenting to you guys about our SOP or standard operating procedure of MIG welding. Okay, let's get started. So what is MIG welding? Okay, basically welding or MIG welding is a process that joins two parts or more parts together by heating the surface. There are various types of welding. There is TIG, MIG, and others. But today, we would like to presenting to you guys about MIG welding, which is using electricity and gases. Okay, let's get started. So basically, when you want to do a process or this welding process, of course you need equipment, right? So those picture, as you can see at the screen, basically a basic equipment that you need when you want to do this process or MIG welding process. So first, MIG welder and torch. MIG welder and torch is basically a main part of this machine to we to do this process, and the torch is used for welder to hold when they want to do the weld. Next, power supply. So power supply is used for supply voltage and current. Since I said before, this kind of welding use electricity and gases, right? So the next equipment that you need is grounding clamping. So grounding clamping is used for you to clamp it on your workpiece in order to conduct the electricity. Uh, okay, the next is acetylene oxygen gas canister. It's basically the gases that we use in this welding process. So these two gases are mixed and it generate a substance, generate gases that will penetrate our workpiece uh, to melting. Uh, Next, gas regulator. So gas regulator is used for we adjust the input and output gases that we need, because when we talk about welding, we use steel, right? Then there's a lot of type steel. So different type of steel need different input and output of the gases. Okay. The last equipment that you need to use and you need to have is wire feed. So wire feed is a substance or things that will produce a substance that called melt joint. Okay. Okay, let's moving on to our next slide, which is safety equipment. First, approved safety glasses must be worn. So basically, you need these glasses when you do this process, because the welder flash basically can be permanently damage your eyesight if you see direct. Uh, Next, appropriate protective footwear. We also call it as a safety shoes. You need to wear it. Next, appropriate welding mask. This is also a protective gear that you should wear, which is when you do this process, uh, there is something that we call it as flying spark. This flying spark actually can be dangerous to you and injury can make it injuries to your body, and also can causes a fire. So next, rings and jewelry must not be worn. Next, long and loose hair must be contained or restrained. So if you're a woman and you have a long hair, you should tie it back, and you should tuck in your safety or welding jacket for extra protective. Next, close fitting protective clothing. So basically, there is safety jacket, right, or welding jacket. So you need to use that jacket. Lastly, oil-free leather. Glove must be worn. So when we talk about this process, it include a heat process, right? So when you want to touch the hot workpiece or dangerous workpiece, you have to wear this glove. Next, the operational safety check. So when you have the equipment and you already wear the safety gear, so when you arrive at your workspace, this is what you have to do. First, check workspace, work area, walkways, and work leads. Next, ensure the equipment and work area is dry, which is safe for you when you do your work. Next, check the work area and equipment. So all of those equipment that I said before, make sure there is the equipment before you do the process. Next, or uh, ensure the fume extractor unit is on before the welding commences. So when you do this welding, there is a gas and smoke created, and it can be harmful if it not properly ventilated. So you need to on this fume extractor. Lastly, close the UV curtain. As I said before, there's thing that we call as a welder flash. So in order to make it less harmful to others who is around on your at your workspace, you have to close the UV curtain. Finally, we arrive at step by step in MIG welding page or slide. So this step, I will pass it to my partner, which is Nur Fatiha.
Thank you, Harit. Okay, my name is Nur Fatiha. I will talk about the step by step in MIG welding. Okay, first of all, we need to move the fume extractor over the welding area. This is because the fume extractor is a tool that will remove unwanted particles, hazardous vapors, and even airborne substance like sparks or smoke. Okay. But if the fume extractor is not available in your work area, you don't have to move anything. Okay. Then after moving the fume extractor to the welding area, you need to turn it on. It is because the fume extractor will detect automatically the fume that they need to extract. Alright, secondly, we need to attach ground clamp. It can be attached to any metal surface that can provide a good ground. Okay. Then, if the ground clamp is not attached to any surface or attached to the wrong ground, the metal or the workpiece cannot be welded. Why? This is because the welding is involved with the electrical current, which include the welding machine to the electrode that will do the welding to the workpiece. Thirdly, we must ensure the adjusting screw is loose. These were the gas that is connected to the welding area, which is acetylene and oxygen. Next, we need to open the gas cylinder using hand wheel. When we open the gas cylinder using hand wheel, we need to ensure that our hand is around it and not above the hand wheel. Moreover, we need to stand opposite of the apparatus. At the same time, the pressure gauge will changes the value from 0 to a value, and the maximum is 2500 psi. But we just only need the pressure to be over 1000 psi, so we need to adjust it before we can continue to the welding. Then the next step, we need to turn adjusting screw that needed for the spark of the welding to be a beautiful spark, so we need to turn it gently in clockwise direction until the needle reach to 10 to 15 CFH. After that, we need to determine the welding setting. This is because before we started the welding process, we need to know the voltage and the wire speed first. Usually the chart of the welding setting will be on the top of the welder machine. This will be easier for you to find and to know which of the voltage and wire speed that you have to use before the welding process to start. Okay, but first you need to know the thickness of the material and even the wire size of your wire. Next, after you determine the setting of the welding machine, you need to turn on the welder machine. As you can see on the photo, we had circled the switch or off button that you need to turn on first before you can set the welder machine. Then, after we turn on the welder, we need to set the wire speed to the lowest, that is 50. After we done setting on the wire speed, we need to ensure that our pressure gauge is not above 15 CFH. If the pressure gauge is above, we need to adjust it to be under 15 CFH. Later, after we turn on the welder and set the wire speed to the lowest, we need to adjust the wire speed and voltage to the correct number, which is 120 and 60 volt in the picture. But this is based on the thickness of the material itself. As you can see, different thickness of workpiece will lead to different wire speed and voltage. If again you forgot how to adjust the wire speed and voltage, you don't have to worry. You can just go to the chart and determine again which is your speed, wire speed and voltage. Continue with the step number 9. We need to ensure that the welding torch has an appropriate amount of wire. As you can see, we had two types of wire. That is, first is short amount of wire and second is the long amount of wire. So to have a perfect amount of wire, we need the wire to be short. If the wire is too long, you just need to cut it off the wire and you can proceed to the welding process. After that, we can continue with the welding of the component. Okay, as a reminder, if the sparks of the welding came out very bad or hideous, you can modify the adjusting screw. But if the sparks of the welding came out beautifully, you don't have to modify anything and you just continue on finishing your workpiece and finish the job. Next, this is the most important part where we must close gas cylinder valve until it is tight and we must tighten the adjusting screw. This is because we want to prevent it from having an explosive or burning. Furthermore, after we finish with the tighten and close the gas cylinder valve and everything, we need to turn off the welder machine, and then we need to remove the ground clamp from the work area. Lastly, the last step is we need to coil the wires tidily and neatly, and then we can put the wires and the welder machine to a safe place where other people can use it next time. Now we go for the flowchart as a conclusion of our step-by-step in MIG welding. Okay, this is our flowchart of our step-by-step MIG welding. At the start, you need to wear protection equipment, then go to the prepare of the work area. After that, we need to move fume extractor to the working area. Then, we need to clamp the ground clamp to the workpiece area. After that, we need to loosen the adjusting screw. Next, we need to turn on the gas cylinder by adjusting a hand wheel. After that, we need to turn around the adjusting screw. Then, we need to determine the welding setting. Next, we need to turn on the welder machine. After that, we need to adjust the wire speed and voltage. This is the part where we need to where the length of the wire torch is good. If the length of the wire is long, we need to cut the wire. But if the length of the wire is short, we just continue with the welding of the workpiece. Next, we need to closing the gas cylinder valve after we finish all the welding process. Then tighten the cylinder valve. After that, turning off the welder machine. Then ground clamp been removed. And tidy up the work area by pulling the wire. Lastly, put the equipment back to the right place. And that's it for the flow chart. Thank you. Now I will be passing the presentation to Hari.
Okay, thank you, Nur Fatiha. So we're moving on to housekeeping in MIG welding. So basically, this is housekeeping that you need to do when you want to leave your workspace. First, switch off the machine and fume extraction. Second, close gas cylinder valve so there is no leaking gases when you leave your workspace. Uh, Besides, next, hang up the welding gun and welding cable. So this is what you have to do when you leave your workspace in order to make your workspace neat. Lastly, leave the work area in safe, clean, and tidy state. Last but not least, issue and challenges in MIG welding. First, skilled workers. So in order to a company want to deliver a good quality of weld, they have to recruit a skilled worker, which is they have to pay more. So I mean, just not anyone can pick up the torch and perform a strong weld, right? So they have to pay more. Okay. Next, surface contaminant. So when you do this process or this work, you will expose yourself into a hazard. Uh, so uh, there's a lot of hazard when you do this project, like heat, noise, cases, radiation, and others. Lastly, insufficient heat input. So this is most crucial when you do or you perform this process. When you do this insufficient heat, it will make your workpiece into a bad quality. It can be porosity, it can be a deformation, it can be a crack. I guess that's all from us for our presentation. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for everything.